All right, we're gonna just do this in one take. Uh, welcome. It's been a really long time since we've done this. I'm kind of nervous now, but we're back. 2019, 2020, 2021 has been somewhat of a couple years, but we're talking about Cabaret Gang Gang. All right, this is the Naya deck that, mind you, I'm doing this at 11:36 like p.m. at 4. I don't the 5th of April. 4 or 5. So it's like the only thing that's been released is the boss monster and the charm, or the what is it, the cabaret charm. But anyways, they released the creature, and my question is he viable? Jetmir, Nexus of Revels, is he viable in Standard and Pioneer? He's one red, green, and white. Creatures you control get +1/+0 and have vigilance as long as you control 3 or more creatures. Creatures you control also get +1/+0 and have trample as long as you control 6 or more creatures. Creatures you control also get +1/+0 and have double strike as long as you control 9 or more creatures. Now, how do I want to make this viable in Standard? And Pioneer is going to be a little bit easier, but just know that there's a lot more removals, so we're going to be talking about that. In Standard Enchantment support, we have Ranger class. At the current moment, Standard, once rotation hits, it's not going to be available. But for right now, Ranger class. It comes in, it makes it 2/2. Whenever it attacks, you get a +1/+1 counter, so it just makes your creatures a little bit bigger. And then you may look at the top card of your library at any time and may cast creature spells from the top of your library. So if he's on the board with Ranger class all leveled up, you can just cast your creatures, get those effects. They don't gain haste, so that's something you do have to keep in mind. But at the current moment, this is kind of good for helping you without wasting cards in your hand. So if, let's just say, you do get board wipe, you still have your hand. Another one is Battle for Brigard. It's a 1 green white. Create a 1/1 white human warrior creature token. Create a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token. And then its third one is choose any number of artifact tokens and or creature tokens you control with different names. For each of them, create a token that's a copy of it. Different artifact tokens, which is vehicles. We got a lot of vehicles. For creatures, the humans, the green elves. There's a lot of other cards in the format that let you create creatures. So yeah, you can only copy one of those, but you still get an extra +1 for just literally creating a 1/1 human, a 1/1 elf, and then you get an extra copies of multiples. Like you can get an extra wolf, an extra human, an extra elf, and an extra treasure. That's 4 cards created because of a 3-drop enchantment. As far as creatures go, we have Adeline, Resplendent Cathar. She's a 1 white legendary creature, human knight. I really do like her. She is so good in the meta right now because she has vigilance, so she doesn't tap. She's unaffected by what was her name? The Wandering Emperor. Adeline her power is equal to the number of creatures you control, so the more creatures, the better. And with double strike, seeing as how you have the first attack, you're going to more than likely win those trades. I'm surprised this card wasn't a mythic because it still keeps going. Whenever you attack for each opponent, create a 1/1 white human creature token that's tapped and attacking that player or a planeswalker they control. Now, with Jetmir, you create an extra 1/1, which let's just say you have 5. You attack, you get 6. You get the trample. If you have 8 and you attack with one of these, yeah, you go to if you have 8, you go to 9, right? So she's just really good. She just creates you a lot of tokens. She's 4 toughness for a 3-drop, which on top of that, her power raises. Like it just keeps going up. There's no limit. Not even you don't have to do much. You don't have to pay anything. You just play creatures and she gets stronger. This is not a creature, but I put it on there because it is one of the ones that creates a creature. In Standard, I know there's some other cards, but I feel like Den of the Bugbear is really good right now. You pay 4, so in total you would need 5 mana. This land to be untapped, and 4 other ones. Because if you tap it with a part of the 4, it just comes in as a creature untapped. Tapped. But until the end of the turn, Den of the Bugbear becomes a 3/2 red goblin creature with whenever this creature attacks, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token that's tapped and attacking. It's still the land, so you can go turn 3 Adeline, turn 4 Jetmir, turn 5. You'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 creatures attacking, which I don't know about you, but that's really good. Curve, that's just amazing. Once again, this goes back to being a land at the end of the turn, so they can't really board wipe it. But at the current moment, we do have a lot of exile, and that doesn't like. There's a lot of cards that say exile target monocolored creature or permanent, and it will hit Den of the Bugbear, whether it's a creature or not. For standard support mass creatures, we have a Ganjo Uprising. It's a X white and red. Create X 2/2 white samurai creature tokens with vigilance. They gain menace and haste until end of turn. Each opponent creates X -1 2/2 white samurai creature tokens with vigilance. The reason I love this card is because no matter what, you will win the trade. So if you tap it for 5 with Jetmir, your creatures have trample and they have vigilance. So if your opponent decides like, hey, I'm only gonna block 3, guess what? You have 3 that are unblocked, vigilance, untapped. Obviously, you want to go for the 9. They get double strike. They're +3/+0, so they'll be 5/2. They'll be hitting your opponent for 3, and then they'll be hitting them for 5 extra after that. So with Jetmir, it's like I said, there's a lot of removal. It's a sorcery, so if you have the mana, it's gonna be your game finisher card. It's not gonna be something you're gonna be like, hey, I'm gonna turn 3 this for 1/1. You know, like no. I mean, you can, but it's not worth it. You don't want to run 4 of these. I think you would want to run 3 because you don't want to get flooded with these. You would want to run 4 Jetmirs, you know. But now let's move on to Pioneer. For Pioneer enchantment, I put Fable the Mirror Breaker. You create a 2/2 red goblin shaman creature token with whenever this creature attacks, create a treasure token. You may discard up to 2 cards if you do draw that many cards, which it's not a lot of draw power, but it does help you dig through your deck. And then exile the saga, then return it to the battlefield, transform into your control. You can, not in the turn that it comes in, on the turn after. So it'll be turn 3, 4, 5, turn 6 it will come in. Yeah, because it drops on the 3, 4, 5, and on 6. So the 7th turn, it would have to, on the 6th turn you can do it, because on turn, once it does that, you have to wait the turn after. Create a token that's a copy of another target non-legendary creature you control, except that has haste, sacrifice at the beginning of the next end step. The reason I have this is because there's a lot more better creature support that are not non-legendary creatures in Pioneer. In Standard, it's a little bit limited, but this creature does get sacrificed, but the tokens you create off of it don't. To me, for a 3-drop with the one that lets you ramp, the one that lets you dig, and the one that lets you then copy creatures, it's pretty good for, 1 mana tap. Like, I'll take that, copy any time of the day. One enchantment that I do have on here that I kind of am not a fan of, but it is a really good one, is Divine Visitation, which is a 3 white. If one or more creature tokens would be created under your control, that many 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying and vigilance are created instead. So in other words, it just makes them a little bit better. So if you create a 1/1, if one or more creature tokens would be created under control, that many so for example, let's just say you create a 1/1 human, right? This turns it into a 4/4 white angel creature token. It doesn't gain haste because that's how Divine Visitation works, but you still trade that 1/1 for a 4/4. For creatures, we have Elvish Warmaster. He's decent right now in Standard, but he has a lot more support in Pioneer. You got Land of War Elves. You got Elvish Visionary, which when it comes into the board, you draw a card. You do have the Planeswalker that came out in Kaldheim. But whenever one or more other elves enters the battlefield under your control, create a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token. This ability triggers only once each turn. Don't forget there's also the 4-drop. I forgot his name, but whenever you cast a creature card, you draw a card. So it'll just help you pop off. You can pay 5 green elves you control, get +2/+2 until end of turn, and they gain Death Touch. That part isn't really necessary. As you can see, Jetmir will just give you those better benefits, because you don't care for Death Touch when you're going for a game like that. But like I said, it's good because it helps you create green elf warrior creature tokens. Legion Warboss, Mentor. Whenever this creature attacks with put a +1/+1 counter on target attacking creature with less power. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token. That token gains haste until end of turn and attacks is combat able. So he's a 3-drop. These are both regular non-legendary creatures, so they can be copied with Kikijiki. I just showed him. So you can copy him, play a 1-drop mana dork, and then you create, I believe you will create 2 creatures. With Legion Warboss, you'll create 2 1/1s. They have to attack, but what do you call it? They're 1/1s. Usually it's like trump trade, but for a 3-drop that creates you 1/1s, it's really good with Jetmir. For more creatures, we have. Oh, how do you go back? Okay, Anax, Hardened of the Forge. She's a 1 red. Anax's power is equal to your devotion to red. So as of right now, as he comes in, he'll be a 2/3, and then if you play Jetmir, he'll be a 3/3. You know. Whenever Anax or another non-token creature you control dies, create a 1/1 red satyr creature token with this creature can't block. If a creature had power 4 or greater, create 2 of those tokens instead. It says another non-token creature. So for example, if they kill your Legion War boss, whether it's 3 or not, legendary or not, you get a 1/1. If they kill your Adeline who had more, she doesn't even have to be the same like class, you know, subtype. Just as long as it's a non-token creature, you create a 1/1. If not, you create 2, which powers with Jetmir. If they board wipe, you can just slam Jetmir and just, you know, you'll have 2 of those creatures instead. If you have Divine Visitations, you'll have 2 4/4s flyings. And then with that, they'll have Vigilance, which they already would, but you know, you slam more, they'll have Trample. Another one that is on here is Arasta, the Endless Webs. I kind of put her as a sideboard, but she can also be used mainboard because there's a lot of control in Pioneer. It's a 2 green. Legendary creature, Reach. Whenever an opponent casts an instant or sorcery spell, create a 1/2 green spider creature token with Reach. This is not limited to once per turn, so they keep like, you know, drawing, countering. You just keep making 1/2 green spider creature tokens, which with Jetmir, it's amazing. You want more creature tokens because if you're playing, let's just say Naya, and they don't, you play this, and they're just trying to do their thing. Jetmir comes in like the next turn, and next you know, you have like 5 creatures that all you have to do is play 1 more, and you get the trample. For Pioneer support, you have the mass creature, you know, in Ganjo. So the reason we started with standard is because standard is standard. You can't put it in you can't put Pioneer in standard, but you can put standard in Pioneer. So this is a good card. And one of my favorites is March of the Multitudes. It's an X green white convoke. Your creatures can help cast this spell. Each creature you tap while casting this spell pays for 1 or 1 mana of that creature's color. Create X/1/1 white soldier creature tokens with lifelink. The reason I love this card so much is that your creatures can help cast this spell. So if you literally play a creature and your opponent does his things and they don't touch those creatures, you can March of the Multitudes to convoke it, since it is tapping them for this card's effect, as opposed to tapping them like Land of War Elves where you tap for mana. It has to have haste to tap on turn 1, on the turn that it comes in, you know? So that's my reason for loving it. Mind you, it's 3-drop. You're supposed to play with tokens. With Jetmir, you'll easily convoke. You can go a Ganjo, not attack. If your opponent is, you know, let's just say you're playing against a mono red burn or something where they were not going to have a board wipe, you can just March to the Multitudes and just like swarm them next turn. But then again, this is where we come in with viable. Is Jetmir Nexus of Revels viable? Yes, this boss card is super reliant on creatures. That's my asterisk. And the reason I say that is because it doesn't give you +1 on toughness. It doesn't give you, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if this would give you +1 on toughness and this one right here, then maybe we could talk about how much more valuable he would be. I would expect to see some decks built around it. But at the current moment, I think he's at a like 6 out of 10. And the reason is, like I said, they have Cry the Carnarium. Every creature on the board gets -2/-2. Sure, it doesn't kill him, but it kills everything else on the board. You have, Shadow's Verdict. Any creature with 3 or less converted mana cost, exile. You know? You have board wipes like Settle the Wreckage, where you don't destroy. So if, you go Heroic Intervention, your opponent could just go, I forgot the name of it. Settle the Wreckage. You exile every creature, you know? As far as I know, Heroic Intervention doesn't target you as protection, hexproof, you know? I'm like I said, I'm nervous. It's been a while since we've done this. And yeah, man. I think he's viable. He's a 6 out of 10 in my opinion. I think he's going to be seeing some like standard Pioneer decks being available, especially with March of the Multitudes. And with how cheap it is right now, you can like buy 4. Obviously, you're not going to want to put 4. Maybe you will. Maybe it's going to be viable. But in my opinion, he's viable. But that's it. That's the end of the video. I will have a video out maybe later this week talking about the Esper creature. the legendary demon for them. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Click the like button, subscribe, and have a nice day.